What's up everybody, it's your boy Sports Dad. In this video, we're going to talk about the challenges and the difficulties that young athletes are facing in regards to recruiting for basketball, especially if you're a little undersized. Let's get into it right about now. So you may find yourself in a frustrating situation. You're not getting the attention that you want with your basketball recruiting, and you're not understanding why, okay? Well, in this video, I hope that I'll be able to piece some of that information together for you, and you have a better understanding of how it works with the recruiting for basketball. Upon my research and what I've actually observed in the area of recruiting, I've concluded that the reason why players have such a hard time being recruited by the major colleges, your Dukes, your Michigan States, Indiana, right? All those colleges, is because colleges look for size first. They look for size first, height, right? That's what actually colleges look for. They look for size first. And, in this particular video, I'm just going to keep it strictly 100 with you. The reason why colleges do that is because what they want to do is they want to put themselves in a situation to win, to be more dominant than other teams, right? They want to put themselves in a position to put themselves at an advantage. When you think of size, height, right? When you think of that, you think of dominance, you think of advantage, right? You're longer than the team, you're taller than them. So you think of winning, right? And that's why colleges look for size, because they want to put themselves in a position to win. So I'm not saying that you can't be recruited because you don't have the actual size. You can still be recruited. In fact, that it happens all the time, right? It happens all the time, but you don't see too many undersized guys at the next level. And if they are, that means that they are really, really special. In my past videos, I talked about athletes being special. If you want to get recognized and you want to put yourselves in a position to be able to stand out, you have to dominate the game. If you're undersized, you have to be able to separate yourselves from the rest of the competition. You got to be a 25, 30-point guy. Or you have to be an excellent shooter, right? You have to be an excellent shooter. Why is that? Because if you're undersized, typically when you're going into the paint, reality says that you're already at a disadvantage because you're undersized. But if you actually have a jump shot, then now you're more lethal, right? And especially if you can get that jump shot off as well, if you can create your own shot. But if you have an actual jump shot, typically every team needs a good shooter. And so that will help you have longevity and actually help you get to the next level as well. But keep in mind that colleges look for size first. I know this is a factor because I've been around on the AAU market for quite some time, and I've seen the major AAU teams, and how it works is that the major AAU teams, they recruit from the smaller AAU teams in most cases. And the reason being is because they discovered that there are some great talent that are being developed on the other AAU teams that are not playing on the big stage, right? On the EYBL and things of that nature. And so they discovered that we may not have them on our team, but that doesn't mean that they're out there. And so what happens is that when they play these teams, they have the recruiter looking and seeing like, okay, if there's talent and if they fit the description of what we're actually looking for, let's recruit them to our team so we can be the best. And on these major teams, these guys are like 6'4" and up, right? 6'3" and up. And once again, they're looking for height, right? And once they find the height, if they're athletically gifted, then that's an actual plus. That's why in some cases you may see a guy with some height, but they're not that talented. But what happens is that colleges look at these guys, or AAU team look at these guys and say, if we spend some time with them, they'll develop. So we can recruit him off of his potential. And some of them reach their potential and some of them don't. In most cases, they got there because of their size. It's an unfortunate situation, but that's how basketball is. And especially if you want to play it at the next level, they look for size first because that's the most attractive thing. Teams are putting themselves in a situation to have an advantage. So that is why. Let's just face it, I'm gonna keep it real with you. If you're undersized, if you're under 6 foot or just above 6 foot, typically those guys don't really get the recognition or the respect that they actually deserve. Most guards that are undersized don't really get the recognition that they deserve, and it's not their fault. It just actually comes with the game, because basketball, it's a big man sport, unfortunately. But those of us that love it, and those of us that are undersized, we still love playing the game. And there has been success, like I said before, of those guys playing at the next level. However, they don't get the recognition that they deserve. For an example, you have a situation like Kyrie, right? Playing with Kevin Durant and James Harden. At first, as soon as they said that they were going to acquire James Harden, you had professional analysts saying that, okay, Kyrie Irving is now going to have to take the back seat and allow Kevin Durant, which is Kevin Durant's team, and James Harden to really carry the team offensively. And while Kyrie's shot selection is going to have to be limited, he's going to have to sacrifice. Why does he have to sacrifice? You and I both know that Kyrie Irving give you 30 on a nightly basis, right? And he can score at will. But the bottom line is that basketball, especially at the professional level, it's a big man sport. When you look at every other team, every team, they got guys on there from, like, the average height in the NBA is like 6'6" and up. Okay. And so when you look at Damian Lillard, who's a, offensive juggernaut, you got, Stephen Curry, who is amazing, right? But he's 6'3". Those guys are considered little, but guess what? They can actually shoot the basketball. So that's why I said you got to be able to shoot the basketball, have a shot that's like automatic, right? To be able to stand out and to be able to last and actually have a career, at the college level or, at the professional level too. But that's why Kyrie is not getting the respect that he wants, simply because he's undersized. And in the NBA, they would rather go with the height, you know what I'm saying? In some cases, in so many words, they could probably do without Kyrie and just live with KD and James Harden, right? That's the thought process. Like, they're not going to go and get people and build around Kyrie, but they will build around Kevin Durant or James Harden. We've seen it, right? Even when Kyrie was in Cleveland by himself, guess what they went and did? They went and got LeBron, right? They're not going to build around Kyrie, but they're going to get those other guys, the bigger guys that have the actual size and that are athletically gifted. Why? Because that's dominance. They're at an advantage and things like that. And so that's just how it is. So if you're ever wondering why it's so difficult to get coaches' attention, especially your Dukes, your Michigans, your Michigan States, your Indianas, your big major colleges, you're trying to get their attention, don't put all your eggs into one basket. I've seen offensive players that come out of the high school level and that were actually great Mr. Basketball candidates, and go to these major colleges and just become another person that's on the bench. Why? Because that's just how it is. Why? Because they probably don't fit the criteria being that guy that they want to be the guy for that particular team. Why? Because he's undersized. So don't put all your eggs into one basket. Start looking at the smaller D1s. You have Damian Lillard and Steph Curry. Those guys went to smaller D1s and they did their thing and they stood out. Now they letting the guys know at the professional level that, hey, we can play with these guys. The last thing I'll say too is that I noticed that the point guard position is being phased out. This is what I believe. I believe that the point guard position is being phased out. Why do you feel that way? Well, it's because, especially like in college, okay, yeah, you can still use a point guard, right? When you think of point guard has the best handles on the team, right? They can handle the pressure full court. They can also handle the pressure at half. Coming across half, trying to set up, and run the offense. That's what a point guard is for, to find the open people and things like that, get other players involved. Even though it happened at the college level, you still have those colleges. Remember, they're looking for size first before they go out and get the smaller guys. But at the professional level, there's no full court pressure and there's really pressure once a player across half, right? So now what that does is that opened up the game for the bigger guys to push the basketball, bring the basketball up the court, right? There's no full court pressure. Nobody's sitting down on you full court. Then when you cross over half, they're not pressuring you. So now you're more encouraged to actually try out your handles and things like that. And it makes it look like they can actually handle the basketball. Well, guess what? At the professional level, teams are actually discouraged. Players are actually probably discouraged on playing real defense. Why? Because the refs are calling everything. You can't really touch anybody anymore. They don't play as aggressive as they used to. They don't play as aggressive as they used to back in the day. So the defensive thought process has definitely decreased, which is why you have those teams that are offensively gifted but struggling defensively. So this is why I say that the point guard position is really no longer needed. And so now you have, once again, you have bigger guards, you know, that are bringing the ball up the floor with no full court pressure and things like that. So, and they're actually finding people and getting others involved and making passes and things like that. You really don't actually need your traditional point guard. So I wanted to jump on. I was just thinking about some things, and this is some of the things that crossed my mind. So I wanted to just jump on real quick and just try to help, you know, the recruiting world, that young athlete who's thinking like, man, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but I'm not getting the attention that I want. Don't put your eggs into one basket. You know, keep your options open, because I play for Duke, but I don't actually see the floor. But it's about being able to say, yeah, I play for a college and I'm getting playing time. Hopefully you take away something from this particular video. Remember to share and subscribe. And if you want to know anything about recruiting and what it's like on the inside, make sure that you tap in with your boy.